All right, everyone. All right. It is Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern US time, and we're going to get back into the Magician's Workshop by choice of games. Let me just pull up our game here, pull this down. All right, we're good to go. So, we are starting off on the stats page once again, just to review what we have so that we know what we have going forward, helping us make our choices from that. Um, the story so far has been that we are an apprentice in a workshop in Renaissance Italy, specifically Florence, in 1512. This is a time of great change in Florence. Hey, Dragon. No worries. Thanks for coming in to lurk. You're always welcome. You know that, and welcome to jump in and make choices with me if you can. But anyway, so we are in the Renaissance in Florence. The Medici have returned to power after a short stint of exile with the help of both the Pope and a Spanish army, taking back Florence from, well, Machiavelli, of all people. Um, and Machiavelli has been exiled to outside of Florence. He has not strayed far. Uh, Unfortunately for us, we learned shortly after our stint as the entertainment to his welcome back party from Giovanni de Medici, the Cardinal of Florence himself, that our master had been killed, murdered, found in the Arno, which is a river in Florence. And we, two fellow top apprentices, are now in charge of the workshop. They are both our helpers and our rivals. We do not know who will end up in charge of the workshop in the end, but now we are having to organize all the work, get it done, as well as um, figure out how to be in reputation overall to be put in charge. It's a tricky thing. Not only that, but there are many, and I do mean many, like 6, maybe 7 secret projects that we are only working on about 4 of, sort of, kind of. It's a crazy time. Um, are involved with many things. So, what we have at the moment is a health that is slightly over 50%. It has been better in the past. It goes down when we use it up, but we're for the most part healthy. The workshop morale is a touch over 50% as well, which is good. It could be higher, but the morale is, well, I mean, we just lost our master. Everyone's still kind of sad, but we've managed to perk them up a little. We have a lira and 2 soldi at the moment, which equates to 22 soldi. Um, it is 120 soldi per florin, I believe. So I'm not entirely certain. That's like, I don't know, lira. Anyways, so we don't have more name is what it comes down to. We have already spent essentially, I think, 22 soldi already. So we started the game with like 2 lira and 4 soldi, and we are down to a lira and 2 soldi. So we're somewhat broke, yes. The workshop is also dangerously low on supplies, so if we need any supplies, we are going to have to buy them for the most part. Now, the work that we know of, the fresco that we have been that we knew about before our master died, that we were already signed up for, is nearly done. So that won't take us much more than another morning of work to finish off. I don't know when we'll get to it, but it's nearly done. It will be done on time. The machine that a particular supernatural being has demanded of us, and I do mean demanded, has not even been begun. We didn't even know what it was until the end of last chapter. It's a little scary. So the machine is not even begun. As far as the 3 commissions out of 5, now 6 secret commissions that we had, we have finished the purse for Lucrezia de Medici. Hers was the easiest. It is done. We got it done. The vault for Dangereux Clement, who is in charge of all of the assassins in town has not even begun yet, and neither has the weapon to deal with people. I should say, soldiers on a wall. So soldiers at range on a wall has not even been started either for Alfonsina Orsini, who is the sister-in-law to Lucrezia de Medici. She technically is a Medici. She just has kept her family name. Um, so we have to get our shit together and work on them. As for our magic stats, we are mostly an alchemist. We dabble in animation because it's still at a neutral 50%, and we are not as strong at soothsaying. That isn't to say that we can't soothsay, it's just that we did not decide to take after our mother and use it at all. For our practical skills, we are very reasoned. We're pretty almost solid. We are solidly reasoning. We're almost solidly artistry and dexterity. We've taken a hit to confidence. Confidence is now at fail state. We are constantly stressed out. We are not confident that we will get all this shit done, but we're trying. We're giving it the old heave ho. We have a touch of guile. We're not fantastic at it, but we can get away with maybe a lie or two. And we're not a strong person. We are definitely very much an artiste, not a hauler of goods. As for our traits, um, we're about as stubborn as we are adaptable, but we are charming, extremely charming. We'll charm the pants off of you and then some. We're just a touch bold, but we're solidly a person of goodwill. And we're also very much a faithful person too. We believe in God very much. We are praying to God every day that we can get through whatever is to come. We're also very orderly. We like order, we like rules, we like law. We are not so much about the voting of everybody else. As far as the many relationships we have, we're mostly in the positives here, mostly. Piero and Fiammetta are our fellow apprentices. Piero likes us a little bit more, Fiammetta likes us a little bit less, but so far the three of us have gotten along fairly okay. Andrea, who is not running the place, but definitely is the person who knows all that goes on in the workshop and is practically the three of ours middle management person, is also an androgynous model. I should say, they took their shot with us for perhaps romance, and we down. So they're not happy with us. They're not unhappy with us. Like, it's not dangerously unhappy with us, but they're not happy with us. We are not friends anymore. Whoopsie daisies. Stella is our mother. Stella de Firenze is our soothsaying mother. We are at neutral. We started out pretty not happy. Well, she wasn't happy with us because we didn't become a soothsayer ourselves. We've rectified that. We're okay again, Mom and I. I mean, we're not, like besties, but we're okay again. Giovanni de Medici, the Cardinal of Florence, owes us a favor. He solidly likes us. He likes all three of us apprentices, but he likes us amongst that as well. Machiavelli is a little bit fond of us. We don't get to see him often because he does live outside the city and essentially the town next door, under house arrest, though. He finds his way around that easily enough. And yeah, he's a little fond. Dangereux Clement has become a little fond. We were on not so good terms, and now we have endeared ourselves to her a bit more. But not quite enough for her to like us yet, but we're definitely cooperating. The Monticello, said supernatural being that has demanded the machine be built, is still neutral with us. We have not pissed it off yet. It is a dangerous, scary thing of secrets and shadows. Do not piss off. Conrad, originally from Germany, but was sent to Florence for his education and is currently working for Lucrezia de Medici, is our best bestie, and we're becoming more and more fond of him by the day. He is chat's chosen romance option, FYI. Though we have decided to flirt with Dangerous as well, so we'll see where that goes. Alfonsina Orsini is not exactly impressed with us, but she's not dangerously upset with us either. And if we can manage to finish her commission, she'll probably like us a little bit better. Lucrezia de Medici, of course, has become a bit fond of us because, well, we are working on her commission. She's very happy. Decided that he switched sides. Okay. Well, that's fine. We'll see what happens, Trav. We're technically in much higher relationship with Conrad than we are with Dangerous, so good luck with that. Um, Henrique of the Congo used to like us a little bit more, but we had a not so great conversation with him on. So he's just neutral again. And we decided to do his secret commission primarily because he is a foreign power. And as much as he does have quite a bit of pull here in Florence, we've decided that he's someone we can ignore. That could turn out to be incorrect, but we're trying. Yes, we always did like her. She is pretty awesome. Conrad's well. I mean, like, Conrad is awesome too. It's just, the Queen of Thieves. Like, come on. um, and last but not least on our list of relationships is Judah Leon Abravanel, who is a doctor. Not a doctor as in medical doctor, a doctor as in scholarly doctor. He is a bit fond of us. He's been a bit more fond of us in the past, but we could have told him what we knew about the Monticello. We decided he should go ask our mother instead so that we didn't piss it off. But we also have passed on his secret commission. So he's not going to necessarily like us in the end, but usually he hangs out in Venice. So we're not entirely all that worried about him. As for our reputation around town, we have yet to gain the respect or ire of the Medici family. I believe that the incoming chapter that we're about to start will change this. But we have managed a touch of respect from the conference. They came for a secret inspection, and they were impressed, at least a little bit. We have also gained the respect of the people. During the celebrations after the funeral, we managed to connect with the people, and they found us to be quite charming. And so we have gained almost a solid respect from the people of Florence themselves. And we did take a hit to the respect of the workshop by being late to meetings all the time, but we seem to have made that up since then. So we're still neutral with the workshop, and hopefully we can gain more respect from our fellow apprentices in the coming days. So that is where we stand here in the beginning of this chapter, chapter 6, Dinner with the Medici. As I said, this coming chapter, we will probably gain or perhaps gain the favor or ire of the Medici family in total, because now we're going to have to go deal with them. Oh boy. So that is where we start, everyone. Welcome in, welcome in. I'm going to start reading now, and I hope everyone enjoys. Let's hope that the decisions are not nearly as intense as last chapter, because, oh boy, that was crazy. The first business of the morning is to work on the fresco. You meet Andrea at the workshop door. They're carrying a bag with 2 fresh loaves and something in a stoneware bottle. You've got a satchel with some charcoal and a few other supplies. Food, you say with a rueful grin. I knew I forgot something. Winter Fairy, Travis decided to out of all of the options that we had for romance, the only 2 options that we've left available for ourselves is Dangerous and Conrad. I know that you're solidly in the Conrad camp because he's our best bestie from forever. Trav has decided that he wants Trav and at least Archer from yesterday wanted Dangerous. So we flirted with her a bit too. We're where we have to actually decide who we're pursuing romantically for really reals, but yeah, those are the 2 options we have left ourselves out of, I think, both our fellow apprentices, and Andrea was also one of them, and perhaps one more. I'm not entirely certain who. But yeah, we out of like the 5 options that we've had, we've turned 3 of them down and we have 2 of them left, I think is what is going on here. So In the end, we will see. Currently, Conrad uh, relationship with us, the more likely one we will be able to romance when it gets to that decision. But we have been flirting with a dangerous, dangerous woman of the underground, of the criminal element. So good luck. We will see what chat eventually settles on in the end. uh, now, where was I? You've been busy, Andrea replies. That's why I brought enough for two. Do we need an apprentice to help with the paints today? You shake your head. I want to start on the next panel, but it needs to be sketched first, so today will just be drawing. We can get a lot of work in without much preparation, and then get back here so I can work on the commissions. And I'm modeling for a bust of Cicero, Andrea says. Your face must be all over Italy by now. My body, too, they smile, and not just Italy. And you don't find that unnerving? Not really. Once a face is in a painting, it's not the models anymore. The master told me that Lucrezia de Medici posed as the baby Jesus as an infant. The mention of a Medici calls to mind the dinner you have to attend later today. They said you should bring one guest, but bringing only Piero or only Fiammetta would cause contention. Conrad may be there anyway, but it might be nice to have him at your side. Andrea would love it. Dangerous would love it even more, although she'd probably have to attend in a mask or a veil. This could be a chance to get closer to someone you find attractive. Yes, it is absolutely good for our lifespan. So we could invite Andrea, and that would raise her relationship with us. We could invite Conrad, who is Winter Fairy's pick out of the two that we are after. We could invite Dangerous and really up that relationship stat because the Conrad's likely to be there already. We could invite Fiammetta and make her like us a little bit more than she does, or we could invite Piero and really push to make him the one, the assistant we like. Yes, Conrad is currently in the employ of Lucrezia de Medici, or at least last we saw him, which was like yesterday. He could also still be in somewhat in the employ of Alfonsina Orsini, who is a Medici by marriage because they're sister-in-laws. So either way, he's likely to be there anyway. Or we could invite him as our guest and just be like, haha, he's ours. I don't know that that would be a good idea though, but we could. Inviting Dangerous into the Medici household for the dinner where she can find all the secrets, all the gossip. She would love it. She would absolutely adore us for that alone. Andrea is the lowest in relationship status, so having Andrea with us would help with that. I don't know what good it will do us, to be quite frank. I don't like Andrea would enjoy it. It would probably help us because Andrea is very good at Andrea has just enough soothsaying to feel out how people are feeling and stuff like that. So we might be able to get more information and gossip with the use of Andrea, but is it really most advantageous for us? Not really. And again, inviting Piero would rock there, inviting Piero over Fiammetta rocks the boat there. And so far we've been trying to be like, we're all the three of us are in this together, but we only have one invitation for a +1, not two. Yes, the Medici ladies may not like us poaching their secretary. I mean, yeah. Currently, the Medici family is happy with the work us, and as an extension of that, the workshop as a whole. So maybe showing that Conrad is firmly working with a workshop that they trust question mark or like question mark it might be good, it could be bad, it could backfire, I don't know, it's really hard to say. So One, two, three, four, or five. Andrea, Conrad, Dangerous, Fiammetta, or Piero. You guys tell me, who are we taking to the Medici dinner? Winter Fairy, help me pick, please. You gotta tell me what you think. Forgiven value of safe. Yes, Andrea is the safest choice. But as I said, Andrea has the lowest relationship with us, so this would very much help that. Um Winter Fairy has started to choose Dangerous just because she would love it. And out of our actual flirt options, um, she's the one with the lowest relationship between Conrad and her. So upping that just to see which one we might be able to catch at the end when the option comes down, it could be good. If anyone else in chat wants to weigh in on this choice, one, two, three, or five, Andrea, Conrad, Dangerous, Fiammetta, or Piero. The threes currently have it, but I will entertain any choice anyone wishes to offer. You've already heard my opinions on all of them. Looks like the threes have it. We will invite Dangerous and hope it goes well. You'll find a way to get Dangerous a message later. The dinner will be a chance to impress the Medici and the confraternity. Both are essential. The confraternity will decide who will be the next master, and the Medici family, well, it has a veto over everything. Stay on their good side, and you'll find success. Get on their bad side, and you could be exiled from Florence. This dinner is not merely a pleasant diversion. In the meantime, you and Andrea have work to do on the fresco, which is one of the main ways you can convince the people of Florence you deserve to be master of a workshop. You and Andrea round a corner and see a knot of people in front of the half finished fresco. Their voices sound drunk, their laughter unhinged. And as you hear a crack and a bang, you see a foot swing towards the wall. You realize with a sickening, skipped heartbeat that they're destroying the fresco. Your fresco! If we're bold enough, we can catch them off guard and tackle one. That will scare them off. We could yell at them. They have no idea what kind of ire we can unleash. Or, if I can keep myself from interfering for a moment, I can make a plan. I do not believe we have the stat to yell at them, and I do not believe we are bold enough. Well, no, we've got a bit of boldness. I think misanthropy is the ire one. We do not have it. And the last one is possibly reasoning, possibly. Yeah, I think the last one is reasoning. We don't have confidence. So, one, two, or three. Bold, yell, or plan. You guys tell me. Looks like three. Can we alchemy their blood to booze? It wouldn't be appropriate. I don't know, Trav. Let's find out. It looks like the threes have it today. If we can keep ourselves from interfering for a moment, we can make a plan. You seethe quietly while the thugs laugh and kick the wall. One of them picks up a rock. They probably won't be afraid of the two of us, Andrea says, but if we can create a distraction. The man with the rock lifts his hand and aims it at the fresco. He's going to smash it. There's no time to lose. Hey, you shout. They all turn to look at you. Is there a problem? One asks drunkenly. The other laughs and throws the rock hard at the fresco. No, you shout and run after them, but Andrea pulls you back. They laugh and saunter off. Well, that didn't go well. Whoopsie daisies. The fresco has a large hole in the middle of it. Andrea borrows a bucket and some plaster, and with a little alchemy and hard work, you repair the hole and redo the painting. But you've lost a lot of time, and you won't make it as much progress in the fresco today as you'd hoped. I wonder why they were here, you say. Those goons? Andrea asks. I suspect wine had something to do with it. Early in the day for it, but they've probably been drinking all night. Oh, they were definitely drunk. But why here? Why my fresco? You shrug. Perhaps it's just bad luck. I thought your birthmark meant you couldn't have bad luck, Andrea says, lightly teasing. Ha! So my mother says, if only that were true. The next section of the fresco is a group of ball players, all tangled together. Somehow you have to convey the motion and confusion of the crowd without losing the viewer's gaze in a chaotic mass. Andrea is here to model for all of the players. They'll hold an arm up for one and stretch a leg out for another as needed. You have a rolled up sketch in your satchel, but the final drawing and the sketch are never the same. Still, it gives you a place to begin. Andrea holds the intermediary sheet of charcoal coated paper up, and you carefully put your drawing over top and trace the lines with the stylus. When you pull both papers away, there's a ghost of a drawing on the plaster. But for this part of the scene, everything depends on the detail. Which lines do you emphasize? How do you convey light and motion and spirit? So, yes, indeed, there are enemies abound, unfortunately. So the question is, do we constantly make new decisions, changing our view of the painting as we work? Do we rely on humanistic principles of good design to guide us, or do we let our spirit move me? And the answer only to do we answer only to our art? So I believe number 1 is number 2 is humanism, which we do not have. We're very much a person of faith. And the third one is actually is actually this might be democracy, humanism, and artistry. Not entirely certain. I think this is actually like a skill plus trait sort of situation, and I'm not entirely certain what the behind the scenes is, but I believe that faith and artistry is the third one. Humanistic principles and something. Maybe dexterity is the second one. First one is, I think, reasoning and order, or something like that, or reasoning and democracy. I'm not entirely certain. So 1, 2, or 3. Decisions, principles, or spirit. 1, 2, or 3. What shall we decide? Winter Fairy says 1. Please, chat, weigh in. I need your help. Adaption is at 50%. Artistry is almost 60. Yeah, that could be adaptability and either dexterity or artistry. But it could also be democracy because we're making decisions, changing the decisions. One of them is humanism, which we don't have, and something. I'm pretty sure that this is like a plus and plus. Pretty sure, but I can't. It's worded in such a way that I'm not entirely certain what plus what, but I could be wrong. It is late enough in the game at this chapter 6 that we're starting to get into more complicated, higher stakes decision making. So, Winter Fairy says 1, Trav says 3. I believe that 3 is probably the safer bet. If anyone else wants to weigh in, so I don't have to make a decision, I would happily take either another 1 or another 3. The people who voted do not have to flip for me. I will make a decision in a moment if this is the case. Winter Fairy, I already told you didn't have to flip. But since nobody else voted, I will go with 3 just because I think that's the one that will be the most successful anyway. You raise your hand with a flourish and shut your eyes. Art is as much a feeling as it is a craft or a series of decisions. You study, yes. You work hard, absolutely. But ultimately, once you've trained your instincts, you have to trust them. Your eyes fly open. The movement of your body catches the movements of the players you're depicting. You draw quickly to capture an emotion of exhilaration and a little fear. A line goes off and into an odd direction, and you pause, grimace, rub it out. That didn't go well at all. You catch your breath and rein in your emotions. Check the drawing, start again. Besides you, Andrea waits, silent, but evidently growing less patient. You'd like to spend longer on the fresco, but it's time to go back to the workshop to check in with your team. You take leave of Andrea, thanking them for their help on the fresco. If you want Dangerous to turn up for tonight's dinner as your guest, you'll have to find some way to invite her, but she's a hard woman to find. You'll have to use a spell. The locator spell involves talking to the streets, quite literally, which means you have to lie down in the middle of a well connected street, put your face into the dirt, and hope to avoid being trampled. There is no way to avoid being mocked. You choose the piazza near the workshop. Get your soothsaying ability, dispense with your dignity, and prostrate yourself. As you whisper your question, tasting the remnants of 1,000 equine, canine, feline, porcine, passerine, caprine, and human feet. Oh boy. You try to shout out the sound or shut out the sounds of the city around you. The streets whisper back and tell you that Dangerous is underneath the Ponte Vecchio. With anyone else, you'd assume something had gone wrong with the spell, but with Dangerous, the extraordinary is to be expected. You pull a sheet of rag paper and a stub of charcoal out of your satchel and scribble the invitation on it, asking Dangerous to meet you in your room at the Vespers bell. Then you fold the paper into a little box with wings. How many of these you have used to make as a young apprentice, passing notes when you should have been working, and breathe a little animation into it, telling it where to go. The message flies off. Oop, passing notes in class. Haha. Time to meet Team Mandrake so you can get them started on the day's work. They're a solid team, and you could just check in on them, make sure they're carrying on with the workshop's other projects while you go off and begin work on the machine. The book is decoded and you're ready to build. That is, if you're sure you even want to build the machine. But if you do that, you'll lose progress on the commissions. Angelo, Francesca, and Luigi are good apprentices, but they can't move ahead without supervision on projects as difficult and important as these commissions. Your time is finite, and there's no way you can build the machine and complete all three of your planned commissions. You've already finished the purse. The vault needs to be started. You have to start the weapon. So, who do we decide to piss off? Do we begin working on the vault, ensuring that Dangerous has no reason to be pissed off? Do we begin working on the weapon, ensuring that another of the Medici family does not get pissed off, even though we've appealed to two? Or do we start working on the machine to appease the supernatural creature that has demanded its make? The wise said supernatural creature cannot wait past Martin Mass. I don't know. Another week wouldn't kill it. You called it, Trav. It seems to be things. Winter Fairy says, work on the vault for Dangerous. What does the rest of chat think? Now, I do not recommend we piss off the Monticello. That thing can get us anywhere that the shadows are, and well, it's nighttime half the day. Just saying. Yes, one is good, especially for tonight, because since we will be meeting with Dangerous, we can tell her we've started on it, and she will be happier with us. But we have to decide. And the other and two would be good as well because we will be seeing the Medici family, and Alfonsina is already not happy with us. I mean, she's not dangerously so, but if she hears that we're working on her commission, she would be happier with us as well. We do not want to start on the machine too late if we are going to finish it. This is a very difficult choice. I'm not going to lie. But One, two, or three, vault, weapon, or machine. You got Winter Fairies already started off with voting for the vault. Um, Trav has kind of agreed with that, sort of, sort of. Anyone else want to weigh in? I would love to hear from anyone else in chat, their opinions. It's, optional, but feel free. Looks like the ones have it today. All right then. We will begin working on the vault. All magic, like all substance, breaks down eventually. One of the first lessons the master taught you is that there is no such thing as a perpetual motion machine, not even with animation. Magic, like everything else, obeys the law of entropy. Nothing lasts forever, not even locks. Perhaps not even love, although it has occurred to you that an unbreakable lock is a heavily symbolic thing to make for someone who has been occupying your thoughts. The lock, though, is only part of the problem. The vault itself would ideally be made out of a material that would resist all attempts to break into it, and whose entropy can't be sped up, not even by a skilled animator or alchemist. Such a material doesn't exist, so far as you know, but you'll get as close as you can to it, and you'll have to think of traps to protect it from intrusion. And then there is the matter of the lock. The trick there isn't to keep people out, it's to allow one person and only one person in. Where will we begin? Luigi asks you. With a big steel box, you reply. The workshop does a little metal work, but for a project of any size, you'll have to work with a blacksmith. Indeed, Trav. Yes. If the Monticello cares so much, needs to be a little bit more patient. The fact that all of these commissions are due on the same day and that the master has not started on any of them is annoying. Like, this man made a mistake and he died for it, clearly. It is quite possible that that supernatural thing is what killed him. It is also quite possible that it is the rival of said supernatural thing that is also supernatural that killed him. We don't actually know, but it is terrifying. So, off to the blacksmith. Enzo's forge is just outside the city walls. He's young and talented and one of the few smiths who will work with magicians, although he lets you know with every chance he gets that it brings him no joy. Not even the master knew the origin of the old enmity between smiths and magic users. Whatever it was, it's taken hold more firmly than the rivalry between any two sports teams. Enzo's was an exception. He worked with the master and was even something like a friend to him. The old blacksmith was friendly to everyone, a little too friendly with the women, and Enzo's mother eventually left him for it. The old man died last year. Enzo seems to have inherited his father's talent, but none of his other qualities. He's notoriously chaste and hates magicians. The forge is dim under a low, ramshackle roof. Enzo makes a gesture as you approach, but you don't quite catch it. A warding gesture or something even more insulting. What do we feel about this gesture? These old superstitions have no place in the modern world. Old rivalries can't determine my reactions. I have to change to meet the circumstances, or what a jackass. I think it's orderly adaptability or whatever is the opposite of goodwill. One, two, or three. Superstitions, circumstances, or jackass. Those are my keywords. Those are my numbers. Tell me, how do we react to this this guy's warding gesture? As if we were an evil thing. Trav votes 2. Secretly he votes 3, but Trav votes 2. Winter Fairy votes 3. Oh, you guys, we've been so polite to everyone. Oh, you guys are funny. Okay, so I guess it's between 1 and 2. Actually, I've changed my mind. I actually think 1 is the humanist option, And we are very much a person of faith. So I'm going to go with 2. Old rivalries cannot determine reactions. I have to change to meet the circumstances. You make an effort to smile. You're not here to bandy insults. You just need to get the job done. Greetings, Smith. I have a job I'd like to pay you for. It's a big job and urgent. And I have a backache I'd like to be able to forget. We can't always get what we want, magician. I can make it worth your while in a way your other clients can't. Give you a potion to ease that sore back, perhaps? Bah, I'd rather drink bog water. Enzo scratches his short black beard and steps closer to you, lowering his voice. Come to think of it, you can help me with. Fairies. That's your kind of job, isn't it? You blink, not sure you've heard correctly. Fairies? Yes. The mythical creatures. Not so mythical when they're blowing up your fire, when they're not putting it out, when they're making it burn too hot. It's a draft that comes from nowhere. Fairies. Get rid of them, and I'll consider your job. Whatever is causing Enzo's draft, you're fairly certain it isn't fairies. Your mother talks about fairies as though they're real, but you've seen no evidence. The master never said anything about fairies existing. Then again, he never said anything about the Monticello either. Well, magician? Enzo asks as you crane your neck to look up the forge chimney. You say. You pull your head out and try to think of something that will convince him to work with you. Your eye lands on the crucifix hanging on the far wall, and you remember the master making a trick device for Machiavelli once. A crucifix that, when tugged down a bit, would open a secret passage. This forge was your father's, you ask? Yes, of course, Enzo replies. It's clear what's causing the draft. Enzo's father must have asked the master to install a secret passage in his smithy, probably to carry on his affairs here, and Enzo knows nothing about it. You know how to fix the draft, you just need to seal the entrance to the passage. But how will you explain it to Enzo? Are you naturally eccentric enough or good enough at deception to play along and pretend you really can banish fairies? Or will you tell him the truth, relying on your charm to make sure he doesn't take offense? Well, we are not eccentric. Our guile is pretty low. Our charm is ridiculously high. So I'll pretend to believe it's the work of fairies. I'll tell him the truth and ease the blow, or he won't question an eccentric magician. 1, 2, or 3, pretend, truth, or magician. So far, the 2s have it. I mean, that does mean, Trav, that he's likely to avoid us. Hey, neurological. Welcome in. Welcome in. How do we want to tell this man that there are no fairies? 1, 2, or 3. The 2s currently have it, by the way. We're gonna be charming and truthful, huh, guys? All right. I mean, our charm is ridiculously high. Yes, I'm still on, neurological. Welcome. I'm so glad that you joined us today. You're welcome to lurk or you're welcome to join in on the vote, but the 2s have it, so we're going to continue on. We'll tell him the truth and ease the blow. What does my father have to do with it? Enzo asks. I wondered if he might have made some changes to this building that you don't know about. Like what? Well, this is Florence. A good blacksmith shows discretion, and with the political situation changing as frequently as it has over the last few decades, offering a back door would be mere courtesy, wouldn't it? And yet I don't see a back door. Perhaps he kept it secret? Secret? Enzo looks around the smithy skeptically. Let's see. You walk around pretending here and there. I wonder. You pull on the crucifix and a crack opens in the wall. God save us! Enzo exclaims. Has that been there the whole time? A little mortar ought to seal it up nicely. He leaves and returns in a few minutes with a small dish of mortar. You seal the crack and he smiles. You've done Enzo a favor and earned a little of his respect. Well, you solved my problem, says Enzo with a grudging smile. What is this job you would have me do? I need a steel vault, and I need it by tomorrow. Oh, is that all? He says sarcastically. The materials alone will cost me 8 soldi for a cube of 3 feet on each side, 12 soldi for 5 feet. Dangerous didn't specify the dimensions, but she'd certainly be happier with the bigger one. And for the labor? He cocks his head. The labor is free, and thanks for your help today. You nod. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new peace between smiths and magicians. I wouldn't go that far. So, do we pay 12 soldi for a large vault today? Do we pay 8 soldi for a small vault today? Do we owe Enzo 12 soldi for a large vault, or do we owe Enzo 8 soldi for a small vault? We can go into debt here. We can outright pay for it. But remember, we are paying for basically all of our materials at this point, and we do not have enough money to pay for it all. We have earned a little favor, so we probably could wait until we have more money and pay him back. And that would probably not be a bad idea. Oh, I'm sorry, neurological, that you cannot hear us very well, but your work has garbage signals. So I'm glad that you're here all the same, and I'm sorry that it's annoying. Um, Travis started the vote. We'll owe Enzo the 12. Well, here's the thing about this, Winter Fairy. We've already finished one of the commissions, and the workshop will earn 3 florins for that, and we will get a cut of that money, which we could use to pay back Enzo when we pick up the vault. Like, this is not a forever in debt situation. This is very much a temporarily in debt. This is more like being on credit, essentially. We will be on credit with Enzo for 8 or 12 soldi, and we will have to pay him back later. So again, we have a commission already finished. We will get paid in the near future. So we will be able to pay this back. We could pay this outright now. We absolutely could. But if we start another different commission tomorrow, or the machine the next time we have the option, we will have to pay out even more money for more supplies. So keeping what might be for the best in this situation, just because the workshop is dangerously low on supplies, and we were going to have to buy things, period, the end. So Trav says 3 is probably our best option here, and I would agree, just because logistically speaking, we have so much to do. But yeah, there's just not enough money for everything to go around. The fact that we even have the option to be on credit will be fine. And I almost guarantee you that as soon as we'll owe you 12 for the vault, he still has to make it. And so by the time we come to pick it up, he'll expect his payment. That's fine. This game is full of very dramatic choices, yes. So far the votes 4-3. I believe the 3s have it. So we are going to go and owe Enzo 12 soldi for a large vault. I'll hold you to your debt, magician, he says. Return tomorrow or any time thereafter, and you'll have your vault. You'll have a vault for Dangerous, but making it impermeable will be even more difficult than dealing with Enzo. The day is ending, and you only have a little while to get dressed before the dinner. You could use your alchemical skills to create something beautiful to wear. Like all alchemical creations that depend on the will of the magician, it will eventually fall apart, and it will require a bit of focus to keep it up all evening, which means you'll be more tired. Or you could run down to the tailor and buy something, but that will set you back 3 lira or 60 soldi, which we do not have. Your appearance is one element that could determine how the Medici judge you, but it's not the only one. So, we could just wear our best, cleanest clothes, one, or we could use our alchemical skills to change our clothing, though it will tire us a bit. We do not have the money to just saunter down to the tailor and get something new. If only. Um, I do not believe we are eccentric enough to get away with just our best, cleanest clothes. We might be charming enough to get away with it, though. But we need both the confraternity and the Medici to like us. We need it. I actually disagree with chat and say that using our alchemical skills, because we are very skilled at it, is kind of the way to go in this situation. We absolutely need our reputation with both the Medici and the confraternity to be as high as we can possibly get it. Whether or not we run the workshop on our own or with our fellow apprentices in the end or not, we need that reputation. Tired we can deal with. Tired we can deal with. Not having a stellar reputation with all three of the Medici, well, with all four factions that we need reputation with, we cannot afford. Tired we can deal with. Sleep when we're dead at the very least. Sorry, chat. I'm overruling you. I'm going with the alchemy. I love you guys, though. You rummage under your bed and find a vial of old rose water. An incantation or two and it's ready. You lay out a stained smock, some torn hose, and a painter's cap on your bed. Stop the top of the vial loosely with your finger and cause all your concentration. Sprinkle the rose water on the clothing until it transforms into... What do we want to look like? We could have a fine embroidered linen tunic, the exact color of our eyes, or rather colors, as it captures every hue in your iris. We could have a French hood of black velvet with ever-shifting patterns of embroidery on the band and on the matching gown. We could have a quilted satin doublet embroidered with twisting, moving vines over slashed brown trunk hose. We could have a silk kirtle with a silk gown over top and a silk hood, all of which change color according to our mood. I wouldn't suggest that one. We could have a white veil and a pale green silk gown with a fine lace capulet that makes us smell like happiness. We could have a decorated leather jerkin and overgown with puff sleeves that make us look taller. As mood shifting colored clothes would be, if we end up in a bad mood, it will give us away, like 100%. Like maybe not that. I wouldn't also suggest the French hooded one as well, primarily because the French and Venice are not on happy terms at all. So I wouldn't go with the French one either. Those two I would avoid. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, eyes, French, vines, mood, happiness, or jerkin. It is fairly neutral, and it will go with our eye color, which could be quite striking indeed. Trav votes 1. Chat. What are we wearing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? Eyes, French, vines, mood, happiness, or jerkin. So far, the ones have it. Anyone else want to weigh in? We're going with 1. I didn't write this. I have no idea. Although, to be fair, gigantic puff sleeves were very much 1512, so. Just as you finish getting dressed in your room, there's a knock at the door. You open it to see Dangerous wearing a red gold trimmed bodice, black skirt and sleeves, and a black lace mask over her eyes. You say something to put her at ease. So, do we say, I'm a bit nervous, you say flirtatiously. This is a big step for you and me, and I'm usually more cautious. You look astonishing, you say sincerely, blushing a little. I'm a bit anxious about the dinner with the Medici, I admit. I'm more comfortable with ordinary people. You look good, do we say with a friendly smile. Thank you for doing this. Or, we're going to have a wonderful time. We deserve a place at this table if anyone does. So, how do we want to flirt with Dangerous? One, two, three, four, or five. Nervous, sincere, anxious, friendly, or wonderful. Looks like everyone wants two. We want to blush a little bit, make her feel pretty. Sounds good. All right. We will tell her that she looks astonishing. Try to compliment her a bit and hope she takes it well. The mask improves my features immensely, she says. It would be impossible to improve your features. From the workshop in the Piazza di Santa Maria Novella to the Palazzo Gondi is a walk of about 5 minutes through the busiest streets in Florence. The lamps are lit outside the doors of the fine houses, and the shops are closing. People laugh and gamble through the streets on their way to taverns and parties. It's one of those beautiful autumn evenings when the world seems caught in amber. Like most of the best houses in Florence, the Palazzo Gondi is an imposing stone block, a rectangle around an inner courtyard. The outside is gray, the arched windows showing only glimpses of the lamplight and brocade and colored glass within. You give your name to the guard at the door and follow a line of wealthy people and a grand staircase. There's noisy conversation, and somewhere a viol plays softly. At the doorway at the top, you're greeted by Alfonsina Orsini, who's wearing a gown of shimmering gold with a gold net in her hair. Ooh, the purse will be perfect for her. But it's not for her, which is funny. Luca, she greets you, kissing your cheek. Thank you for coming at this difficult time. Tell me, how is my commission coming along? Can you lie to her convincingly? Or you could be flattering and hope she doesn't notice that you're not answering her question. If you're clever enough, you could come up with a way to be honest and forthright without giving her cause to worry. Do we lie? Do we distract with flattery? Or do we tell the truth in a way that won't anger her? Trav 3, charm her, saving the best for last. We don't want to rush it. So 1, 2, or 3, mislead, distract, or truth. The threes currently have it, but anyone else is welcome to weigh in. 2 is charm. Well, again, I think this is a combination of skills and traits. We have what I will say is this. I do not believe 1 will do us any good because our guile is too low and I'm not sure what else it's attached to. Distracting her with flattery is definitely related to our charm. It's also possibly related to our connected to our guile. I'm not entirely certain. Telling the truth is probably charm and reason. 2 and 3 are our best bets. And it looks like the 3s have it. So we're going to try to tell the truth in a way that won't anger her. And good luck to us. My team has taken charge of it personally, you say honestly. She claps her hands once. Good, good. And who's your guest? A lady from Milan, you say as Dangerous bows her head. How mysterious, Alfonsina says. There are some seats available near the fireplace. Please enjoy the wine. And with that, you're walking toward the table. Are you sure no one will recognize you? You whisper to Dangerous. Oh, I'm sure many people already have, but they don't have to pretend that they have a principled objection to me. I've worn the mask for their benefit as much as mine. Half the people in this room owe me something, or I wouldn't still be in business. It was perfect that we brought her along. Pass the bread. Two walls of the room are covered with intricate red gold tapestries showing scenes from the Decimarian. The outer wall is punctuated with five arched windows with glass cut like diamond. Opposite it is a wood paneled wall broken by an enormous fireplace, with a fire set in it, although the night is not cold. There are two tables facing each other across an open expanse of carpet. Each table has guests seated only on one side, so that they can see across the room to those at the other table. Who do we take an empty seat next to? The Cardinal Medici himself, who, out of everyone here, likes us the most? Lucrezia de Medici, because we do have a finished commission for her. Judah Abravanel, who is slightly fond of us, but we are not working on his commission, and I guarantee you he'll ask about it. Or Henrique of Congo, who also is only neutral with us these days, and also we are not working on his commission, and he will ask about it. So, chat 1, 2, 3, or 4. Giovanni, Lucrezia, Judah, or who do we sit next to? I mean, we might be able to distract Judah Abravanel with talking about books and alchemy and stuff like that to skirt around him. Henrique of Congo, yeah, we might be able to skirt around him by talking about faith, seeing as he came to study and become a holy man, and we are a man of faith, or a person, I should say, of faith. I don't know if we brought the hopefully, if we sit next to Lucrezia de Medici, we can get paid immediately, or at the very least, set up a time for us to be paid, for her to drop by and pick it up. Or because at the very least, we can tell her it is ready and she can come get it. As for the Cardinal, he's the one who likes us the most, but he is the most powerful man in the entirety of the room, and we brought the freaking underworld criminal queen herself as guest. Didn't sit next to him. But he does like us the most. So Trav votes 2, Lucrezia de Medici, which is probably our safest bet in the entirety of this room. But we have options, and any one of the 4 is a valid option to sit next to. We both. Oh yes, see, I see Winter Fairy's vote now. Okay, yes, 2. We're sitting next to Lucrezia de Medici because she's the safest? Question mark. You take your seat next to Lucrezia de Medici. She nods at you, and you give her a look of satisfaction and confidence. Serving boys in the Medici livery. Ugh, I'm words salad today. Walk between the tables. They pour wine and hold out heaping platters of food for each guest to take what they like. Everyone carries a cadena, a small wooden box for their own personal knife and fork. You and Dangerous take yours out and open them, removing silver forks from velvet linings. I don't think I'll ever get used to eating with these things, Dangerous says, sighing and balancing the fork in one hand in preparation to stab something from a passing platter. They don't use them in France. She shakes her head. Everything is dazzling, from the Venetian blue glass goblets to the pearls and diamonds in the caps and hoods of the wealthiest people in Florence. The other members of the confraternity are here, scattered along the 2 tables, their eyes glittering, hard, appraising. Everything is business in this city, especially pleasure. Platters of anchovies, olives, bread, cheese, and meat pies go by. You take a few things, looking around to make sure you don't do anything wrong. It's not exactly what I'm used to, you whisper conspiratorially to Dangerous. Anyone can learn how to pretend to belong. Everyone's pretending. It's all performance. It's all sprezzatura. Perhaps it takes someone who wears a mask to recognize the subtler masks others wear. Perhaps Dangerous is right about sprezzatura. that all important quality for any courtier, a careful nonchalance, an ability to make the difficult look effortless, a mask of ironic detachment, to attract admiration without seeming to try. You glance at the people around you. Perhaps you can impress Lucrezia with your spezzatura tonight. Your stylish clothes get you part of the way there. Which qualities can you use to your advantage? Our intelligence and our sincere disdain for our fellow humans? Our soothsaying and our charm? Or our ability to adapt to any circumstance with confidence? Well, shoot. We have reason, but not the sincere disdain for our fellow humans. We have charm, but not the soothsaying. We have not that much ability to adapt and no confidence. I don't think number 3 is the way to go, guys. I honestly believe that number 1 is our best chance. Well, maybe not. The charm might actually cover more than the soothsaying does. Let's find out how badly we are. So our soothsaying is 43%, but our charm is 81. We have 55% adaptability, but our confidence is not there. Like that's a fail state right there. Absolutely. Reasoning is a solid 63, but it goes with, I think, misanthropy or humanism, neither of which are great. In fact, don't recommend humanism at all. So needless to say, charm and soothsaying actually might be our best bet. 1, 2, or 3, intelligence, soothsaying, or adapt. 1, 2, or 3, intelligence, soothsaying, or adapt. We're screwed. It's bad. What do we pick, chat? Help. Help. Trav says 2. Does the rest of chat agree? The rest of chat does indeed agree. Yeah, it is our highest combined total. Let us hope that it is enough. Isn't this exciting? You say, looking at the inscrutable faces of your dinner companions. Excitement is not good for the digestion, says a man with a red face and a tight collar. I hope the food will be good, you say, and you notice a few cringes. Perhaps you shouldn't have said that aloud. Your chance comes when Lucrezia examines the platters of fruit on offer from the and leans over to you. Fruit is so deceptive. It seems the ones that look the best taste the sourest or have some terrible texture. I'd stay away from the grapes and try the quince, you say nonchalantly. Lucrezia smiles. Thank you. How fortunate that I find myself beside you this evening. I never eat grapes, Dangerous says. They're either too sweet or too tart. What do you like then? Lucrezia asks, amused. Oh, I like all the things no one else likes, she says, waving her hand. Stinky fish sauce and tripe and cod livers and black pepper until I sneeze. There's some sort of commotion in the corridor outside the dining room, and several servants put down their trays and rush out. Alfonsina is on her feet, and several courtiers have their hands in their dinner knives, when someone bursts through a tangle of guards and into the room in a hazy cloud that smells familiar, like burning holly leaves and hound's tongue. And you realize, just before the clouds clear, who it must be. Your mother. Yep, it is. Mother is an uninvited guest. Uh-oh. What has mother done? You dash into the foul-smelling cloud and put Stella and into a garderobe, putting a locking spell on the door. It won't hold long. How do we react to our mother barging in on this dinner? Do we ask, what in God's name are you doing here? Do we put a finger to her lips and whisper, be careful, please? Or, this can't be happening. I was having dinner. You weren't invited. How do we deal with our mother? Note, we are on neutral terms with mom. Like, yikes. Trav votes 2. So, growl, whisper, or not invited. 1, 2, or 3. The 2s currently have it. So with the twos, we'll have it. Luca, she greets you brightly as though she had just run into you in the street. What a surprise! I didn't know you'd be here. I suppose you have to do this sort of thing now. Are you remembering to. Mother, you can't be here, and you certainly can't rush past the guards. What is going on? A shadow passes over her face. More of this, Luca. The bullies. I have to stop it at the source. Uh-oh. Stop what? We don't have a lot of time to chat. Giuliano de Medici. He's here. He's in here, isn't he? Giuliano is, in name, the leader of the. He's the younger brother to Giovanni and Lucrezia, and he tends to do as they tell him. Yes, of course. This is a Medici dinner. He's a Medici. He's also a snake. He's got an illegitimate son by Pacifica Brandano, and he won't stop pestering her. He's got it into his head that the child might not be his, because he's heard from God knows where that Leonardo painted her portrait and then painted over it with some other woman's face. He didn't commission the portrait, the skinflint, so who did? It's eating away at him. He knows that Pacifica came to me for readings, for reassurance, when she was expecting the child. He wants me to tell him all his mistress's secrets, and that I refuse to do. You rub your forehead. No one can budge Stella from a position when it's a matter of principle. But the Medici control everything in Florence, and you need their goodwill. You have to get her out of here. But can you do it without angering her? You hear Alfonsina Orsini's voice in the corridor outside, demanding to know what is going on. Yeah, no kidding. No, Trav, you were absolutely right. The Medici are snakes. They just are. There is no getting around that. It would be unkind to embarrass Stella by pretending not to know her. It will anger your mother, and if you can't pull off the lie, you risk also angering your host, Alfonsina. But you'll please Alfonsina if you manage it. If you show her kindness, you'll anger Alfonsina, and if you don't show, you're just as stubborn as your mother. You risk angering Stella too, but you'll please Stella if it works. Or you could simply animate her shoes and force her to leave that way. If you pull it off, you could manage to make her think someone else is doing it and get her out while staying on the good side of both her and Alfonsina. But that would be very difficult and require a lot of animation skill, which we do not have. You open the door, nearly knocking over the guard who's been trying to force the lock. He'd nearly succeeded. He must have a little skill with animation. Okay. We don't have the stubborn for this. We don't have the guile for this. And we don't have the confidence and animation for this. 4 is not an option, Trav. I'm sorry. Throwing up our hands and giving up on the situation is not what we can do. So, do we side with our mother? Do we pretend not to know her? Or do we try to animate her away? Mother, Alfonsina, neither. Ah, Trav, you snake. Why do I have to decide? That's what I have chat for. Come on, chat, help. Help, 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 help. I need to know what we're doing. Let's show the stats here, shall we? Confidence, not good. Guile, not great. Stubbornness, not good. Animation, not good, not great. No, we went all in. Yikes. Help, help. Winter Fairy says 1. That we'll stand up on our mother's side. We will side with mom. I mean, Alfonsina already doesn't kind of like us. This is just going to make her hate us more. I guess we're skipping hers. we're about to piss her off, so I guess we're skipping out on her commission in the end. Pretending to not know our mother is the guile option, I believe. and that will piss off Mom. We just got her back to neutral. Um, um, we're standing up for Mom. This is suicide, but we're doing it anyway. My apologies for the confusion, you say to Alfonsina's astonished face. This is my mother, Di Firenze. She has something she wishes to say to Don Giuliano. Your mother, Alfonsina repeats, the soothsayer. She's been under attack by thugs, and she believes your brother may be able to put a stop to it. Stella grumbles something mercifully unintelligible. This is not the time or place, Alfonsina says, her face showing with you. Of course. Perhaps they could another time. You turn and look pleadingly at Stella, but she just crosses her arms and glares at you. Come on then, Alfonsina says to Stella. Out you go. We'll send you a message when Don Giuliano has time for you. Stella looks pacified. People crowd the corridor, the Medici and the confraternity, and the ordinary people who serve at the table and guard the doors in this house. But they all make way for Lucrezia de Medici, who stands beside her sister-in-law and looks at the departing figure of your mother. Did that woman need something? Lucrezia asks. She needed to stop trespassing, Alfonsia answers with a sharp smile. Then everyone starts arguing about what just happened, what they saw, and what it all means. If you can appeal to the social hierarchy, the Medici will admire you, but the common people won't. And if you're unconvincing, you could lose ground with the confraternity too. If you can appeal to the rights of the common people, the servants and guards will take your side, but you'll lose ground with the Medici and could lose the confraternity too. If you're cautious enough to stay non-committal, you can give everyone a slight impression you're on their side, but a word or two wrong and you'll lose a little ground with all three groups. So, do we appeal to the common people, knowing that we already have a pretty good reputation with them? Do we appeal to the virtues of strict social order in the hopes that we gain a little bit of reputation with the Medici and the confraternity with only a loss to the people? Or do we stay out of this if we're cautious enough? As a reminder, we're more bold than cautious. Yeah, we're not cautious enough for 3. Appealing to the common people would boost them the most, but we actually do need everyone, like all 4 factions, to be somewhat happy with us to make it later on, I think. Maybe? Not sure, actually. I think 2 is our best bet, and it looks like what everyone else in chat believes. Oh, this is getting so hard, chat. Goodness, this story is so intense. We will appeal to the virtues of a strict social order and hope. Hope, hope, hope. When people think they can just barge in everywhere, we get chaos, you murmur. Some courtiers around you nod vigorously. But surely it is a sign of the love people hold for the Medici that they feel they can approach, says an earnest woman. It is, but that doesn't excuse people who take advantage of that. The young woman looks somewhat persuaded, and the nearby members of the confraternity look at you with approval. The crowd finally begins to thin, and you find Dangerous just inside. What is your mother doing here? She hisses. You know my mother? I know everybody. Is everything all right? It's all right now, you say, although it's hard to have much faith that things will be all right in this city where secrets can be so valuable and so dangerous. And the Monticello wants you to build a machine that has something to do with secrets. It could be more than just your own life and livelihood at stake. It felt like a lark an hour ago, but I'm starting to wonder whether this is a wise place for me to be. Let's go get some air, you suggest, and Dangerous leads you out to a balcony that overlooks a narrow, quiet street. Well, this has been a memorable evening, Dangerous says with a little laugh. Do you feel that you have done your duty for the workshop? It wasn't only about duty, you respond with a smile. So, here we go. Our options are, I was hoping for a moment like this one where I could ask to kiss you. It was also about free food, I grin to show I'm joking. It was also a chance to spend some time with a friend zone. Or, I like parties. I like Florence, the good and the bad and the strange. So, how do we respond to Dangerous? The obvious flirt option, the joking, possibly still flirty option, the friend zone option. Actually, I think it's the flirt option, the friend zone option, or other. One, two, three, or four. Flirt, friend zone, other. One, two, three, or four. What do we do in chat? Are we flirting with this woman or not? What's the level of our relationship at? I don't know. Let's find out. 54%, very low compared to Conrad's 16. This is the point where we can up the game, so to speak. One and two, one, two, and three will probably up our relationship level various different percentages. Four will not. Four might actually lower it. Three has a changing or lowering, depending. It is definitely the friend zone. One or two will definitely up it, though to what degree I do not know. So, one, two, three, or four. Flirt, friend zone, or other. Those are the key numbers. Winter Fairy says one. That's two seems safer. One sounds likely to be rejected. Well, we won't know until we ask. I'm going all flirt. I know these games. I'm going all flirt. She pulls her mask off and looks at you. Her. Then she kisses you. The kiss begins confidently, passionately, but ends so softly as though she's vanished, become a memory. By the time you open your eyes, she's gone. You look down over the balcony into the darkness and whisper, "Good night." I stand corrected, indeed. I know these games. It isn't until you're home and alone in your bed that you feel you can really think about everything that happened tonight. Every glance and meaningful silence, and the tone of every peal of laughter. It's a world so different from the practical collegiality of the workshop. But it's a world in which you'll need to be comfortable if you're going to lead one of the most respected groups of artisan magicians in Florence. End of chapter. All right, before we get into chapter 7, A River of Gold, let's see how our stats have changed. Health is at 50%. We took 5% of health just to have alchemically prettied clothes. But workshop morale is still solidly a 55. We have a lira and two soldi to our name at the moment, and our workshop is still supplies. The fresco is still nearly done. We haven't lost any work on it, but we've lost time to work on it. I mean, we've lost work on it, but we haven't lost nearly so much. The machine has not even been started. The weapon has not been started, and I think at this point we are probably dropping that one. The vault is in progress. The purse is finished. Our magic has not changed in percentage since the beginning, so we're still at 70, 50, 43. Our skills, reasoning is solid, artistry and dexterity are almost solid, confidence is garbage, as is strength, and guile is just a touch. We're once again slightly more adaptable, very charming, more cautious now. We have flipped on boldness and caution. Goodwill is still solid, faith is solid, order is solid. As for relationships, most of these ones are the same, except we've taken a hit to Stella. A small hit. We've been at 45% before. Giovanni has not changed. Dangerous has not changed either. Interesting. Alfonsina Orsini is slightly lower as well. Andrea is still the lowest though. And everybody else is basically the same. I know. Not great. However, we've gotten a tiny bit of respect from the Medici and the confraternity. The respect of the people has taken only a very slight hit. We were at 59% and we're only down to 57. So this is a win for us, reputation wise, all the way around. Like, we're not in a bad place here. We could be better or higher with some of this, but this is not bad. Whew. That was intense, intense. We have not found any more than 2 achievements so far. So, chapter 7, A River of Gold. It's going to be a long stream today for a Friday. You wake up to the feeling that you're being rocked ever so gently, and to the sound of water and the smell of fish. This is not your room. As your eyes fly open to dim light and you sit bolt upright, a gloved hand slaps over your mouth. Quiet now, Luca, you hear someone say softly. Dangerous. You turn to see her, sitting with you. As your eyes adjust, you see a low roof and woven baskets, a wooden bucket. You're on a boat, rocking gently, creaking beneath you. You gesture impatiently for Dangerous to remove her. She does. One day you're kissing on a balcony, the next she's pinning you down on a boat. What's going on? You say in a rough whisper. You don't have to whisper, she says. I just didn't want you to yell. You're on a boat in the Arno. That much I gathered, you say, and add. Why in God's name? What my senses can't tell me is why, or I shrug. My life is never predictable, but I'll adapt. Trav says 3, hoping to up adaptability. 1, 2, or 3. Faith, reason, or adaptability. Trav has already started the boat with 3. What does everyone else think? If no one else has an opinion, I will just go with 3 then. All right. It wasn't my idea, she says. I'm just the thief. This morning I stole you. This isn't exactly a conventional romantic encounter, but then again, Dangerous is an unconventional person. And you have to admit, cabin in a rocking boat has a certain appeal, as does Dangerous. You lean in close to her. I thought you only stole things for money. She does, says your mother's voice. The curtain draws away at one end of the cabin and harsh morning light floods in, temporarily blinding you. Mother? You gasp. You draw away from Dangerous. Stella stretches out her hand. Thank you for trying to help last night, Luca. You struggle to your feet, although you have to crouch. If you wanted to talk to me, I needed you right away, so I asked Dangerous to fetch you. And yes, I could have sent a message, but I wanted to make sure that witnesses saw you being taken. If things go wrong this morning, I want it to look like you are here against your will. I did a purposely bad job, Dangerous says mournfully. Mother, you say, rubbing your temple, sometimes your thinking is downright Machiavellian, says another voice. You duck your head out of the curtain to see a hooded and cloaked man standing in the boat, wearing the clothes of a boatman, with the boat's single long oar in his hand. He turns to you, and the face matches the voice. You can hardly believe the boatman is Niccolo Machiavelli. Ooh, he snuck into the city. Naughty, naughty. Good morning, Niccolo. You greet Machiavelli. You're breaking your ban. If the Medici find you. The wonderful thing about a river is that it flows through a city without being part of the city, he says. I was told never to set foot in Florence again, and I haven't. Somehow I doubt that will mean much to the cardinal. He shrugs. Perhaps not, but if he finds himself looking for an excuse to walk away from a fight with me, I'll have given him one. Anyway, I have no intention to see me today. Quite the other way round. We're going to catch Giuliano in the act of paying off the French, Dangerous says. She reaches back and spoons a little honey into it and bites it. The French! But Florence is now part of the Pope's Holy League against the French. That's how the Medici were able to regain control of the city in the first place, with the papal army at their back. Exactly, says Machiavelli, and pulls the boat smoothly through the water. He's a man who's always seemed old before his time. He was an advisor to the Medici rival Piero Soderini for years, and he's a friend of yours, so you tend to think of him as being older than he actually is. He's only 43, and seeing him work the oar so expertly reminds you that he is a vigorous man. So vigorous that he's probably bored in his country estate. So bored that he'd go looking for trouble? Exactly what? The Medici don't want to put their fortunes in any one pair of hands. The warrior pope is old and could be gone soon. They certainly don't want the French to decide to invade again. So it makes sense that they play both sides. Giuliano is clumsy. He's left clues. If we can catch him at it, we'll have power over him. He'll stop bothering your mother. And perhaps he'll bend when it comes to your exile, you say. Machiavelli shrugs. Are we annoyed for for bringing us into this? Are we annoyed at our mother for bringing us into this? Are we annoyed at Dangerous for bringing us into this? Are we just annoyed, or do we not blame them, any of them, for bringing us into this? One, two, three, four, or five. Machiavelli, Mother, Dangerous, all, none. Trav, this far into the game, everything is connected to the traits. We built them up through the first four-ish chapters, and now we're apt to use them. Trav says 5. We aren't happy, but honestly, they were going to do it anyway. Maybe we can help keep them out of trouble. We can't blame them. We'll be useful. Anyone else want to weigh in on the choice? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Machiavelli, Mother, Dangerous, all, neither. No, that's true. It might have changed a trait. I didn't exactly check. It's hard to tell when we're going to adjust a trait or not sometimes in the later parts of the game. You did indeed manage to say that with a straight face. Not that I can see your face in this moment because you're just a member of chat. Anyone else wish to lay in an opinion, or are we just not going to blame them for bringing us here? Well, the fives have it. Florence demands creative methods of communication. I thought Alfonsina Orsini was going to arrange a meeting with Giuliano, you say to Stella. She shrugs. If she keeps her word, all the better if I come armed with knowledge. So why do you need me, you ask? We might need a magician, Stella says. I can soothsay well enough, and I suspect Dangerous can too. Don't look innocent, my dear. No one can hide their thoughts so well from me without a little talent of their own. But there may be trouble. So I'm here for my skills. And ride down the Arno on a fine morning, says Machiavelli, gesturing at the scene before you. The sun is just peeking over the rooftops. It's just past dawn. Nonetheless, the Arno is dotted with other boats, as people make their way to other parts of the city or even other parts of Italy. Here and there on the walls, young men lounge, their legs hanging down as they eat their morning bread in the golden light. A woman is hanging washing between two houses and peers at you suspiciously as you float past. The boat is a small, narrow one, of the kind that boatmen use to ferry people from one place to another within the city for a few soldi. You don't ask where the boat came from or where its real boatman is now. There are two wooden benches in the boat, in front of the oarlock near the stern where Machiavelli is standing. Dangerous walks past Machiavelli and sits on one in the front and keeps a watchful eye on the river. A dream about the master. Stella steps gingerly over to the other bench. There's a wooden tray with sliced bread and a dish of honey beside her, and you sit next to that. Your mother has never liked open water. I had a dream, she whispers to you. A dream about the master. You look at your mother warily. What sort of dream? He was working on a device. He wanted to build it, and he didn't want to build it. His heart was divided against itself. He wasn't sure it would work, to do what he wanted it to do, so he tested it on himself, and his creation killed him. You shiver, remembering what you learned about the master's body. A man without a shadow, all his secrets ripped from him with such violence, died. ripped from him by the machine he was building. Oh dear. What is this device? Do you think the dream showed you how he really died? Or not all dreams come true, not even yours, mother? How do we respond to her dream? One, two, or three. Device, death, or dream? Trav says two. Anybody else want to weigh in on this very ominous choice? Or is it left up to me and Trav? Planing, mind you. I guess it's up to you and me, Trav. All right. Two it is. Showed me? Not really. I couldn't even see the device or what it did. I just knew it was there. And how do you know it's true? She shrugs. I can't say what's true and what isn't. I can only tell you what I dream. The river glistens and the boat rocks gently. If it weren't for the dark nature of the conversation and your thoughts, it would be a pleasant ride. And for the moment, it's quiet, a chance to take stock of your situation and seek advice. Do we ask Machiavelli for advice about the machine? Do we ask Dangerous if she has any other theories about the thugs who attacked the fresco? Or do we ask our mother if she's heard of a machine that could read thoughts the way a soothsayer does? Whose opinion do we need to ask in this moment? Machiavelli, Dangerous, or Mother? One, two, or three? You guys tell me. It's quite possible, Trav, that the Monticello is trying to tie up loose ends, or whatever is controlling the Monticello is. It also could just have been an accident. The machine worked too well or had a flaw. I don't actually know. We weren't there. But clearly the master made the machine already. Um, Trav votes two because it's most practical to find out about the thugs who attacked the fresco. I have to agree. Trying to talk to anyone about the machine is a difficult matter. Um, we haven't started to build it. We will have to consider whether we will or not. Asking for advice about it, as much as this is probably the only time we will get to. Uh, but we need that fresco to be done regardless, and trying to figure out why someone would want to deface it might be more useful to us. I'm gonna agree with two. Dangerous, my fresco was attacked yesterday. My work in progress. I think it was just a bunch of ruffians who drunk too much, but do you know if there is anything more behind it? She shakes her head. Nobody in my circles. Could it have been someone in yours? You're taken aback. What do you mean? She shrugs. Piero or Fiammetta might want to undermine you, so you don't get so you don't get control of the workshop. Just a thought. You know them better. These days, it feels as though it's impossible to say you really know anyone in this city. Everyone has layers and everyone has ambitions. Is it possible that Piero or Fiammetta could stoop to sabotage against you? It is true the three of you have been more rivals than partners since the master's death. Machiavelli holds up his hand for quiet. The oar is still, the boat floats silently, and there on the shore, behind a building and hidden from view from every angle except the river, is Giuliano de Medici talking to three men. One of the men is clearly a soothsayer, because you can't glean any of their thoughts. A glance at Stella's frown tells you that she can't either. We'll have to get a little closer, she says. Can you move the boat closer? Machiavelli asks you. You nod, but before you can attempt an animation spell, one of the men yells and points to your boat. You've been spotted. Whether they have a soothsayer who caught a hint of your thoughts, or maybe they just happened to catch a glimpse of you and found you suspicious, it doesn't really matter. They clearly have animators because a rope tying a boat to the dock unwinds of its own volition and starts to move towards you, just as two of the men leap onto it. They're only a few boat lengths away. We'll get them now, Stella growls, leaning forward. I almost have a name. A moment longer. We don't have a moment, Dangerous says. Luca, get us out of here. If you don't manage this getaway well and save your companions, you could end up in the Arno. But you have to do something so you don't all end up in the clutches of two men who don't seem likely to be friendly. You need to get the boat back past the Vecchio into the busier section of the city, into the crowd of boats that will be there at this hour. You could simply take the oar from Machiavelli, counting on your strength for speed, your dexterity for control, and reasoning to outwit your pursuers. Their boat is already animated, and trying to put your own spell on it could be unpredictable, but you could animate your boat with just the right mix of confidence and caution to set the speed and direction. A fisherman is standing in a little coracle halfway between the banks, an obstacle or perhaps an opportunity. Another thought occurs to you as you look down at the tray of bread and honey. You could use your alchemical skills to change the water into something stickier, but you'd have to be bold and deceptive to do it before any enemy magicians become aware of your plan to adapt. So, do we take the oar and row us to safety? Do we animate the boat to move down the river, or do we perform an alchemical spell on the river itself? Mm-hmm. Triple stat checks. Um, so we have low strength but high speed and reasoning. One could work. Unsure if it will. We will not be as speedy as we could be, but we could work. Animating is at 50%. Confidence and caution. Confidence is down. Caution is not enough. We do not have the mix for that at all. Alchemy is high. Alchemy is very high. We are more cautious than bold, but we're still fairly 50-50 in that, and we have only a little bit of guile. 3 could work as well. It might work better or worse than 1, but 3 could work as well. 1 and 3 are likely to work. Neither of them are guaranteed. 2 absolutely won't. So, technically speaking, it depends on how much our actual alchemical skill will cover for the fact that our guile is low. And that our boldness is low. I honestly believe that 1 is our best bet. Strangely enough. Does anyone else want to weigh in on this very stressful situation? One it is then. We will take the oar and row us to safety. Nicolo, may I? You ask, but you're already reaching out your hand. There's no time for politeness. Machiavelli steps nimbly aside, saying, by all means, take action. You don't have a lot of experience with boats, but perhaps you can make it go where you want. With a strong arm, fine control, and quick thinking. It's difficult to move the boat. The oarsmen make it look easy. You strain to build up speed while your companions grumble at you. You glance at the fisherman in the coracle. If you can maneuver the boat to scrape just beside it, your pursuers will be forced to go around. Yes, excellent idea, murmurs Stella, reading your mind. You judge the distance perfectly to avoid his line. You steer your boat so close to nearly get tangled in his line. He sends a stream of curses after you, but you only smile, and Machiavelli chuckles. As you pick up speed, the boat moves easily through the water, and you widen the gap. Dangerous cheers. The fisherman is now between you and your enemies. For a moment, you think they're going to ram the fisherman, and by the look on his face, he seems to think so too. But at the last moment, they seem to decide that would slow them down even more. They halt the boat and turn it to one side. Meanwhile, you're several boat lengths away, and now they can't catch up. You glide into a dock in the busier section of the Arno near Ponte Vecchio, and all four of you scramble gratefully and hastily onto dry land. Well, we've learned that Giuliano definitely has some secrets he doesn't want discovered, Machiavelli says. But nothing you can prove, you say. You can't help thinking that a machine that calls secrets could be very useful for your mother and for other people who don't have the networks of minions that more powerful people have. But could a weapon like that ever be used safely and honorably for the greater good? We'd better keep moving, Dan says. They'll be looking for us. I don't think they were close enough to places, so we should be safe enough if we don't linger here, your mother says. And as long as we split up, Dangerous adds, I don't need the Medici seeing me in the company of an exiled man. They hate me enough as it is. Besides, it'll be less dangerous for the rest of you if you're not found with me. So, dangerous for your company. Do we flirt? I like your kind of danger. Do we flirt? Give her a friendly wave goodbye or give her a curt nod and go. Flirt, flirt, friendly, or just go. One, two, three, or four. How much do we flirt with Dangerous? Flirty in a charming way. Flirting in a confident way. Friend zone way. Or just go. All right, number one. We are flirty, flirty, flirty. Ha, she says and blows you a kiss. You flatterer. With that, she runs off. You take your leave of the others and walk alone back towards the workshop. You return to the workshop to find Team Mandrake setting up for another day's work. You calculate the remaining hours between now and the Michaelmas meeting of the confraternity and realize you only have 3 work sessions left. Each commission takes 2 sessions to complete, and you suspect the machine would take 2 sessions as well, although you might not succeed in building it even so. If you don't begin the machine today, you'd have to use your final 2 sessions on it or you won't be able to build it. If you miss a session to work on the machine, the apprentices will wonder about your dedication. You've already finished the purse. The vault still needs 1 more session. You have to start the weapon. Do we finish the vault today? Do we begin working on the weapon? Or do we start working on the machine? I agree that we should get the vault done. That's 2 commissions out of 3 that we've decided to do. And then we have 2 sessions to decide whether or not we're working on the machine. Oh, welcome back, Winter Fairy. Looks like the ones have it. We are finishing the vault. Good luck to us. Micah the mule takes one look at the size of the cart and turns an accusing glare on you. It's a big cart because it's a steel vault, you're shrugging. I'll use animation to lighten the load. No intention of flying a massive steel cube through the sky over Florence by dint of magic alone, so you do your part and I'll do mine. You do know that Micah is not a talking mule, says Francesca, coming up beside you with a grin. You turn to see all 3 members of Team Mandrake holding their gloves and aprons and ready to help you load and cart the vault. He may not be a talking mule, but he is a listening one, you say, and point. Micah is arranging himself at the front of the cart with an air of resignation. That damn mule. Enzo the smith is as good as his word. A brand new gleaming cube of steel, 5 feet to his side, sits gleaming in the sunshine outside the smithy. The heavier an object is, the more difficult it is to animate from place to place. Gravity requires effort of one kind or another. That's why there are cranes all over Florence. Animators can reduce the weight for a period or help roll a stone into place, but raising a cathedral requires machines and math and muscle as well as magic. There are nearly as many designs for cranes in the city as there are cranes. The grandfather of them all is one Brunelleschi. Brunelleschi? Ugh. It's Italian and I don't know the name. I've heard of it before. He's very famous, but I can't say it. Used to build the Great Dome in the last century. Leonardo filled notebooks with variations on it, and every workshop has its own ideas on about how to lift things. Enzo's smithy has its own small crane out front, and with Enzo's help and a quick animation spell, you slip 2 ropes underneath the vault, secure it, and watch as Enzo turns the crank, and it rises and rises. until one rope snaps and the vault falls with a terrible thud. Ouch. Enzo swears a lot and then apologizes to God a lot for everything he just said. Meanwhile, you and your team will have to find a way to get the vault onto the cart. You don't want to bring any harm to the vault or to your own toes. So, my animation skills are strong enough for a major spell, but the vault could fall. My team works well together. 4 animation spells are stronger than 1, but the vault could fall. Or I'm strong enough to push the vault up an angled. I'll be at risk, but not the vault. I'll be at risk, not the vault. Personally, the third one's probably not a good idea. We are gonna get hurt. 1 or 2. Notably, 1 would mean that we went all in on animation. We did not. 2 is likely our best bet, primarily because 4 animation spells are greater than 1. The vault could still fall, but we're more likely to have a chance at that one. Yeah, better to alchemy the rope to be stronger indeed. But unfortunately, that is not on this. That would be choice number 4, and we don't have it. So I think 2 is our only chance. We are not the strong. That is for sure. Here we go. 4 heads are better than 1. Gather round Team Mandrake, you say, and Luigi, Francesca, and Angelo come in close. If we each concentrate on one of the bottom corners, we can lift it easily, but we need to keep our heads and work together. Can you do that? They all nod eagerly. Sure enough, they manage it beautifully. The heavy vault rises as lightly and easily as a feather, and you all exhale as one as it settles safely into the cart. Even the sour-faced Enzo whistles once, impressed, as the 4 of you embrace and cheer for each other. Stares at you, waiting for his orders. Michael pulls the cart safely through the streets and back to the workshop, where you use a ramp with rollers to slide it carefully into an open space at the back of the building. It gleams dully on one side. Its door sits just a little open, waiting for you to add the lock. We have our box, says Francesca, staring at it as though it might move at any moment. Angelo walks around it, frowning. The trouble is that any one of us here could open a hole in it, given enough time. And what we can do, other magicians can do. It needs to be impermeable. And how will we do that? I ask, sliding into pedagogical mode. Alchemy, says Luigi brightly. Change its character. But how? You prod. We can change steel to something even harder, but there is no substance so hard that an alchemist couldn't change it right back, that an animator fling apart. We need to make it impervious, not only to fire and sword and gunpowder, but also to magic itself. They glance nervously at each other. You know the answer yourself, but you also know that the results will be more powerful if you can involve the team. You have to draw the answer from one of them. Luigi loves good humor and wit. Francesca is an eccentric. Angelo is a faithful attendant at Mass. Who do we call upon for an answer? You have a good point, Trav. Quicksilver would work that way, except we need to call upon one of our 3 assistants. Luigi, Francesca, or Angelo. Who do we call upon? Humor and wit, eccentricity, or faith? 1, 2, or 3. Which assistant do we pick on today? Please, chat, don't make me decide myself. I do not know. We can pray that it works out. Oh, Angelo. Angelo, our faithful Angelo. Anyone else want to weigh in? For these 3, it doesn't matter. We actually don't have any relationship stats with these 3. They're simply the team of lower ranking apprentices that we grabbed for projects. So, um, what we know is that Luigi loves good humor and wit. Francesca is an eccentric, and Angelo is a faithful attendant at mass. So, who do we call on for the answer to our question? Yeah, they're just miscellaneously the workshop. So one, two, or three already has a vote. Winterfairy says one. Luigi. Interesting. Well, I'm going to go with one. I'm going to say Luigi. Luigi, you're staring at the vault like we're about to decorate it, you tease, hoping the image will prod him. He grins ruefully, then turns serious. Decorate? We could decorate it. With sigils, I mean. Of course, says Francesca. Sigils claim an object for a particular magician so that no other magic can touch it. The right sigils would protect it from magical damage as well as mundane, but they would have to be very powerful. You say, with pride that your student was able to come up with the answer. Any one set of sigils can be tied only to one magician, and no sigils are completely unbreakable. But if we all put a layer of sigils on and tangle them up and combine them, it would take forever for any magician to break them apart and try to overcome their power. It would be, let's say, functionally unbreakable. Is functionally unbreakable what Dangerous asked for? Luigi asks. It's what she's going to get, you respond. Clients often ask us to do the impossible. Part of our job is figuring out how to make it possible without disappointing them. Luigi, for your cheek, you can go and get the book of sigils out of Master's study. Luigi returns with a large and dusty codex. You take it and flip it open to a page. It doesn't really matter which sigils you use, so long as you use them in a proper set. A set is like an alphabet, groups of a dozen or more symbols that fit together and act together on an object. Some of the more pompous magicians claim to understand how it works. What matters is that it does work. You choose a page with sigils made of curving elements cut through here and there with straight lines, designs based on the old alchemical symbols, or a series of circles with dots and lines. One, two, or three. What aesthetic are we going with? Trav has already voted for two, and we are very alchemically inclined, so that would fit with our own power set. Anybody else want to weigh in? Twos have it. These are easy for the apprentices to trace properly, since they're very like the symbols for metals and elements. You trace the symbols onto the vault carefully with your fingertip, covering as much of the surface as you can. Then, Angelo, Francesca, their turns. The patterns of faint, dull lines on the shining steel cross each other and tangle together. Sigils can take on a sort of will of their own, and the sigils of two or more magicians can combine into a pattern, but the strength of that pattern depends on how closely the magician's thoughts and purposes are aligned. There are stories about lovers who parted simply because they couldn't manage to get their sigils to link up. It's never a good sign when that happens. The fact that the idea for the sigils came from a student means that you'll all share that sense of purpose, and the pattern your sigils make will be stronger. You stand back and look at the vault with a magician's practiced eye. The sigils have linked and formed a magical barrier. You can almost see them shining on the surface with the eye of faith. Or perhaps you just need a little sleep. Well, who wants to get in and test it? You joke. Francesca groans. You can get in, Luca, and wait for Dangerous to come and let you out. Thankfully, you don't need anyone to crawl inside, but you do need to make sure that the vault will open for Dangerous and only for Dangerous. With the help of Luigi the locksmith, you finish the vault by tinkering with a golden lock. No key can open it, only the touch of one person, Dangerous. Construct the lock, using a kind of empathy to create a link between the lock and its owner. And you very carefully set the lock so it can can open to her touch. Your dexterity is unmatched, but your soothsaying is a little unreliable. The lock may not open easily for her. As the afternoon shadows lengthen in the workshop, you join Piero and Fiammetta at a table in a quiet corner. I've been meaning to ask you about the plans for the Master's spellbook, Fiammetta asks while Piero leans forward eagerly. Have you learned anything new about what it is? You open your mouth to stay a machine, but you can feel the Monticello's magic constricting your throat, so you just shake your head. We were just talking about the future of this place, Fiammetta says. In a few days, this place will have a new master and a new direction. Before we can do anything, we have to survive, Piero says. The master left us with a firm foundation, and we can build on that. In fact, we can strengthen the foundation of the whole city, quite literally, now that the Medici are here to spend. We can build water projects so there is clean water to drink and repair the damage done by the wars of the last few decades. And I want to create a library here in the workshop to collect and preserve ancient texts of magic and philosophy. So it's all about preserving and repairing for you, Fiammetta says, her arms folded. Nothing new, nothing the master would not have done. On the contrary, Piero retorts, I've been thinking about reforming the way apprenticeships work here. I want to give every apprentice a stake in the profits of the workshop. We can all be owners. Fiammetta considers. Not a bad idea. I've been thinking about the apprentices too. We take so many third sons of merchants' families, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I want to extend our reach into the villages. Find the young people who don't have parents who can send them here. Become a place of refuge for them too. You have a heart after all, Piero says, teasing her. She sticks out her tongue. It's not charity. I want the best ideas to come from our workshop. If the Medici want to spend on amazing new projects, that Florence will be famous throughout the world. In fact, I want to make sure that we always have a team working on a project that no one has commissioned, that might not bring in any money, just to make sure we have space for wild ideas and new notions. Piero frowns. A fine idea in theory, but you've seen how stretched we are, how difficult it is to keep up with the work our patrons have commissioned. What's your vision for the future of the workshop, Luca? Fiammetta and Piero are looking at you, and they aren't the only ones. Several of the apprentices have gathered near and are listening. Both Piero's and Fiammetta's ideas have merit, but you need not commit to any specific plans at the moment. You do not need to show the workshop, though, that you have a coherent vision, a philosophy that makes you do need to show the workshop, though, that you have a coherent vision, a philosophy that makes sense. Blah. So, do we envision a workshop founded on tradition that serves the public order and faith? Do we want a workshop that serves the common people and isn't afraid to make bold choices? Or the workshop should change with the times and be an example of the latest ideas in action? 1, 2, or 3. Tradition, common, the common people, or change? 1, 2, or 3, chat. Tradition, common people, or change? Trav says change. Winter Fairy says the common people. I'm going to go with change. I like adaptability. If it's always adapting to the times, it never goes out of style, after all. It seems that every time a scholar visits from Rome or Venice, they bring new ideas. Like they bring new fashions. It can be difficult to keep up with them, but we owe it to the founders of this workshop to try and honor the spirit of inquiry without hubris and without losing our way. The apprentices don't seem convinced, and you're either. Everyone get back to work, Fiammetta says. Piero and Luca and I have matters to discuss. The apprentices disperse. We do? Piero asks. I want to talk about how the work is going without them listening in, Fiammetta says, her voice uncharacteristically quiet. Ah, good point. How are the commissions coming, Luca? Piero asks. 2 are finished, you say triumphantly. And the other work? Any surprises or problems? Fiammetta shakes her head. Team Moss is working hard, but nothing's falling behind. You, Piero? Everything's fine, Piero says. And the fresco? Out the fresco. The fresco was attacked yesterday. You watch your colleagues closely for signs that they were involved. Oh, that's just what we need, Piero says glumly. Attacked? Fiametta says. How shocking. But she doesn't look shocked. She looks like a cat that got into cream. You know her face well, after all. You've worked together for years, so this is a blow. You knew, you say softly. Her jaw tightens. I've always known that I had to work to make my way in this place, Luca. I was never the master's favorite, and you didn't seem very interested in showing me you were on my side. You haven't even made much of an effort to work together these past few days, so you can't blame me for looking after my own interests. But sabotaging the fresco hurts the whole workshop, you protest. The hell were you thinking? Piero demands, glaring at Fiametta. Fiametta smiles. The most important thing is for the workshop to have a worthy master, she says. A fresco can be repaired. Can your relationship? Fiametta implied that if you had made more of an effort, she would have been willing to work with you. Perhaps you can still turn this around and find some unity, so that when the time comes, you can ask the confraternity to make all three of you co-masters together. It's clear that unless you do that, the workshop will lose Fiametta altogether. After all, Fiametta is talented and creative. If you can draw on enough goodwill or adaptability, match things up with her. If you succeed, her back as a potential collaborator. Or you can choose to go your own way and show no forgiveness. If you succeed, you'll earn her respect, but ensure your future will be one in which you're rivals, not collaborators. To hell with Fiametta. I'm glad to add her to the long list of people I hate. My heart is big enough to forgive this. I refuse to let Fiametta to dictate my course of action. I'll stand alone if need be. Or, this was unexpected, but I can compromise enough to repair our working relationship. Is our adaptability good enough for number 4? I don't believe so. Let me check. Adaptability is actually strong. Our goodwill is stronger, which is, I believe, we have it enough in our heart to forgive it. I mean, relationship wise, she's only 45%. Like, it's not that big a deal. Yeah, I think 1 is misanthropy, which we don't have. 2 is goodwill. 3 is stubbornness, and 4 is adaptability. I think that's the traits that are here. So it's either 2 or 4 is the best options for us to take. 2 is probably our best bet. I'm pretty sure that's the pairage here. So 1, 2, 3, or 4, misanthropy, goodwill, stubbornness, adaptability. Winter Fairy is ready to just get rid of this crazy woman. But for the sake of the game, yes, number 2 is our best bet. Are we in agreement, chat? Is 2 the way we're going? Yes, we forgive you, you crazy strange person. You take a deep breath. I can understand why you thought I had to do this. I don't like it, but I can forgive it. It's best for the workshop if we find a way to work together. Fiametta looks mollified, and Piero looks encouraged. You are both important to the workshop, and I'm glad we can work together, he says. The day is waning, and the apprentices are working away in the fading light, carrying out your orders and Fiametta's and Piero's. If the master could see the workshop today, would he be proud? Whether he would or wouldn't, it's no longer his. 2 more days of work, and then it will be Michaelmas, and the confraternity will select a new head for the workshop. Time to find something to eat. You head to the tavern to meet Conrad, but he is not there. What will you have? The landlord asks. So, we're spending money. Do we spend 3 soldi for poached fish, boiled egg, brown bread, and green vegetables, which will definitely help our health? Do we spend 2 soldi for cheese, salami, and white bread, which is less health boost? Do we spend 1 soldi for fried cheese bread and a slice of melon for even less of a health boost? Or do we get nothing, save money, and sacrifice our health, which is not a good idea. I think we're going to need our health. So, how much money do we spend? 3, 2, or 1 soldi? We have 1 lira and 2 soldi to our name currently, which is effectively 22 soldi. Um, Apparently, it is not. I don't know why. This is what it is. So 1, 2, 3, or 4. 3 soldi, 2 soldi, 1 soldi, none. 3 want. Winter Fairy is like, let's invest in our health. Trav is like, let's only do a little bit for our health. Are we leaving it up to me again, guys? Come on. Come on. I know you better than that. I'm going for 1. I'm going to invest in our health. Yes, it's money we probably shouldn't spend, but at the same time, we can also go into debt. We could definitely do with the boost. The bass, fresh caught from the Arno, is cooked in a delicious lemon sauce with a bit of orange peel and flecks of bright green marjoram. The bread is so hard and full of seeds that it poses a bit of a structural problem, but you are an engineer of magical devices, and you can solve this problem too. And you don't even need alchemy to do it. You soon learn the bread doesn't break your teeth once you've soaked it in the sauce for a bit. Home to your little room over the workshop, there you bolt the door and window with extra care. You don't much relish being carried off again in the night, even if it is by the charming Dangerous. But it's still hard to sleep, and you find yourself musing on the things you haven't told anyone about, how you're feeling about the workshop, the things you haven't put into words even to yourself, the contents of your secret heart. What do we feel in this moment? Do we hate the Medici and wish Florence would be rid of them? Do we think workshops are as common as rats in the city? Does it really matter if ours survive? Do we feel that the confraternity's meddling is holding every artist back and we wish we could forge a path without them? Or do we sometimes think that we can blame Leonardo for leaving Florence because it's a pit of vipers? Damn you, Leonardo da Vinci, why did you leave? So far it is shaking a fist at Leonardo da Vinci. Number 4 is the vote currently. And Winter Fairy agrees. I agree too. This is the city that put cylinders on its street corners, with little slots for receiving anonymous notes, so that neighbors could inform on each other. Everyone is grasping, and everyone is ready to wield weapons against the defenseless the moment they think they might be on the winning side. And so fickle. A republic except when it's not. A religious paradise except when it's not. Leonardo was charged with sodomy in 1576, and it wasn't long after that he left, working first in an artist's colony established by the Medici and then traveling to Milan. All the best leave eventually. Or, like Machiavelli, they're exiled. But anyone who tries to point out these problems is branded a traitor, so you can't say anything. As you ponder your secret hopes and fears, you notice that the shadow cast on your wall by the window shutter, outlined in moonlight, is changing its shape. It looks, just for a moment, like a broad-brimmed hat. Someone nearby chuckles, low and soft. You sit up, but the shadow has shifted again, and there is nothing to be seen. Still, you're wide awake, shivering under the blanket, though autumn is not yet here. A rap comes at your door, the same pattern that you and Conrad used when you were younger, your secret code. You hear Conrad whisper your name at the door. Luca, I need a drink and a chat. Are you up? I am now, you say, but the truth is, you're glad for a chance to go out into a place with light and people. And whew, choices have been made. Things are going on. Dear gods, what have we gotten ourselves into? And the Monticello is just being a dick. the problems. That's why we're shaking our fist at him, not necessarily because we don't agree with him. This is where we start wrapping up my stream because I have gone through 2 chapters and whew, this is a long story. We didn't finish it this week. We've managed to finish other choice of games, if not less, and it's taking us longer. So we will be picking up chapter 8 next week instead of tomorrow. I'm not streaming tomorrow. I take 2 days off a week, you guys. It's a lot. My voice needs a rest. Anyway, this is where we stand at the end of this. Our health is at a 52. Dang, we spent all that money. We did not, in fact, gain that much. Sad. But workshop morale is still up a little bit. We have 19 soldi to our name. Our workshop is dangerously low in supplies. The fresco has not yet been finished. The machine has not yet been begun. We have not started the weapon for Alfonsina Orsini, and I believe we may in fact be dropping it altogether. But the vault and the magic purse are done. Alchemy is solidly at 70, animation is at neutral 50%, and soothsaying is great. We are reasoned, artistic, dexterous, and with a touch of guile, but we are not confident nor very strong. We are adaptable, charming, a little bit cautious. We are full of goodwill, faith, and order. And as for our relationships, well, Piero still likes us more than Fiammetta, but they're still we're still in this together. Andrea, not happy, but not unhappy. Stella, our mother is not pleased with us right now, but she's not so displeased with us that we are on bad terms. Giovanni di Medici still likes us. Niccolò Machiavelli likes us a touch less than he did, but still is fond. Dangerous has grown a bit fond of us, but not so fond as to like us anymore. I'm not entirely certain why we can't get that up higher, honestly. The Monticello is still neutral, thankfully. Conrad is still our bestie best. Alfonsini Orsini likes us even less than she did before, but not so much that it's dangerous yet. Lucrezia de Medici likes us a bit. Henrique of the Congo, neutral. Judah de Leon Abravanel is a bit fond still. Not much, though. However, our reputation across the board has gone up to a degree. We have gained a tiny bit of respect from the Medici and the confraternity. We still have a somewhat good respect from the people, but the respect of the workshop has gone down. We biffed that whole view of what we would like the workshop to go towards. We tried. So that's where we stand. I don't think we stand at all very well anywhere. I'm not entirely certain what we will do, but we've only managed to get these 2 achievements and nothing more. There's definitely more achievements to find in this game that we have not managed to get. And next week we will start with Chapter 8, Dawn over Florence. I believe that Chapter 8 is either the start of the end game or perhaps the last official chapter. We have seen Choice of Games stories run as long as 10 or 11 chapters with an a bonus chapter, so to speak. I do not know how much longer this story will run because this is our blind playthrough of this story. So next Monday we will start with The Magician's Workshop, Chapter 8, Dawn over Florence. If any of you have missed previous days, the VODs are up on my Twitch channel. You can also find them in the past streams playlist on my YouTube channel, which will hang around longer than the VODs on my Twitch channel. So there is a way to catch up from all the way when we started this last Monday to today's episode, and you can see all the choices we have made, whether you agree or not, and see what in the world is going on. Perhaps you can predict where we will go next. But in either case, this is me wrapping up for this stream. Thank you everyone for joining me. I have appreciated you very, very much. Let's see if we can raid a friend of mine. No. It looks like Dragon is playing Kingdom Hearts. So jump over and say hello to Dragon. Um, because he has shouted me out recently and I've rated him before, and we're gonna say hi. So let us start our raid, and this is the end of today. So take care, everyone, and let's go support my friend Dragon playing Kingdom Hearts today. Let's go. Go raid my friends because they're nice. Here we go. Rating, 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 rating.